1.3 Relationship of project, program, portfolio and operations management. You will often find in smaller companies in particular, many projects are managed virtually in isolation. The project managers would most likely discuss common dependencies and resourcing, but little more than that. Even though some elements of these projects could be combined and managed more efficiently, that path just isn't followed. However, the projects that are managed in isolation, the project management processes, tools and techniques described in the PMBOK guide still gives them a high probability of success. What they're missing really is just that bit of synergy, the bit of efficiency that can be gained by combining them. But as the organisations grow larger, they begin to see that there are benefits to be gained by grouping projects and other related pieces of work together. For example, they can be managed in a coordinated way. Resources can be balanced between the different projects. There can be better communications across projects and clearer oversight by senior management on the whole landscape of projects and how they're progressing. So what are the alternatives for managing multiple projects then? As it turns out, there are three main ones. Option one is simply to continue managing in isolation. Each project is treated as a separate standalone project with minimal information interchange. Note that an extremely large project is called a mega project. The PMBOK guide defines a mega project as one that is expected to cost $1 billion US or more, affect 1 million or more people and run for years. And I would advise remembering that definition because it's new to the PMBOK and there's a good chance that they're going to test us on it. Now, option number two is to collect related projects together into a program. For example, a large mining company might create a program of information technology projects, a second program for mine site construction projects, and a third program for mining operations projects. The PMBOK guide defines a program as a group of related projects, subsidiary programs and program activities managed in a coordinated way to obtain benefits not available from managing them individually. Then we come to option number three, which is sort of the highest level, if you like. It's a collection of unrelated projects under a portfolio. In the mining example, the company could combine the information technology program, the construction program, the mining program, plus other projects and even some operations work into a portfolio. The PMBOK guide defines a portfolio as projects, programs, subsidiary portfolios and operations managed as a group to achieve strategic objectives. So just remind you, a program is a collection of related projects. A portfolio is generally a collection of unrelated projects or unrelated programs, and key for the exam, remember, it can include some operations as well. The PMBOK guide says program management and portfolio management differ from project management in their life cycles, activities, objectives, focus and benefits. However, portfolios, programs, projects and operations often engage with the same stakeholders and may need the same resources, which may result in a conflict in the organisation. This type of situation increases the need for coordination within the organisation through the use of portfolio, program and project management to achieve a workable balance in the organisation. Now, if we have a look at figure 1.3 from the PMBOK guide, it illustrates a sample portfolio structure indicating relationships between the programs, projects, shared resources and stakeholders. You can see in this diagram that within the portfolio, project 1 is not part of a program. However, it is still managed within the portfolio to obtain benefits not available by managing it as a standalone project. Project 2 and Project 3 have been combine to form Program A. Project 4 and Project 5 have been combined to form Program B1. Project 8 and Project 9 have been combined with some operations work to form Program C. Program B2 and Project 6 have been combined to form Program B. Project 7 and Program C have been combined to form Portfolio A, and everything has been combined to form the sample portfolio. I believe there's actually an error in this diagram. Yes, the PMBOK guide can make mistakes. I believe that Program C is actually a portfolio. Why do I say that? Well, remember the definitions. The PMBOK guide defines a program as a group of related projects, subsidiary programs and program activities managed in a coordinated manner to obtain benefits not available for managing them individually. And a portfolio is projects, programs, subsidiary portfolios and operations managed as a group to achieve strategic objectives. These tell us that a portfolio, not a program, can include operational work. But Program C on the diagram includes operations, which means it is really a portfolio. But anyway, grouping the projects together in this way makes it easier to enforce robust governance and introduce efficiencies and cross-project balancing and prioritization based on risk, funding and other considerations that would not otherwise have been possible. But this structure gives us the big picture view, looking at project, program and portfolio management from an organizational perspective. Program and project management focuses on doing programs and projects the right way, and portfolio management focuses on doing the right programs and projects. And that could be an examination question too. Program management. This is defined as the application of knowledge, skills and principles to a program to achieve the program objectives and to obtain benefits and control not available by managing program components individually. The PMBOK guide says on page 14, a program component refers to projects and other programs within a program. Project management focuses on interdependencies within a project to determine the optimal approach for managing a project. The optimal approach. Program management focuses on the interdependencies between projects and between projects and program level to determine the optimal approach for managing them. Actions related to these program and project level interdependencies may include aligning with your organizational or strategic direction that affects program and project goals and objectives, allocating the program scope into program components, managing interdependencies among the components of the program to best serve the program. That's moving around funding, balancing out the human resources between the projects, trying to control the interdependencies between them, maybe moving projects around so that there's less focus on some interdependencies. Managing project risks that may impact multiple projects in the program, and that can be a big saving if you have a number of projects facing the same fairly major risk, but it's too expensive to deal with for a single project, and you realize, hey, we can deal with this risk for all of these projects. Now it's worthwhile going ahead with it. Resolving constraints and conflicts that affect multiple projects within a program. And as we'll cover later, a constraint is anything that reduces your ability to manage the project. Resolving issues between component projects and the program level. Managing change requests within a shared governance framework. Allocating budgets across multiple projects within the program, which gives you an enormous amount of control, and assuring benefits realized from the program and component projects. So you still have to be able to identify the expected benefits at the start and then check at the end or sometime after the project is finished to make sure those benefits were actually achieved. An example of a program is the development of a new online training course, the development of a web-based learning management system to host and manage the course, and the development of back-end financial systems to manage payment and financial accounting for the course. Portfolio management. A portfolio is defined as projects, programs, subsidiary portfolios and operations managed as a group to achieve strategic objectives. The PMBOK guide says on page 15 that portfolio management is defined as the centralized management of one or more portfolios to achieve strategic objectives. The programs or projects of the portfolio may not necessarily be interdependent or directly related. The aim of portfolio management is to guide organizational investment decisions, select the optimal mix of programs and projects to meet strategic objectives, provide decision-making transparency, prioritize team and physical resource allocation, increase the likelihood of realizing the desired return on investment, centralize the management of the aggregate risk profile of all components, and the aggregate means just combined together or added up together. Portfolio management also confirms that the portfolio is consistent and aligned with organizational strategies. And sometimes it's possible to have a project in your organization, perhaps a small one or a bit of work that doesn't actually align with your strategy, and so it's something you shouldn't be doing. And being in isolation, it can be missed out, but once you get it into a portfolio and you have people looking at the entire portfolio, it is much easier to spot something like that and basically to weed it out. Maximizing the value of the portfolio requires careful examination of the components that comprise the portfolio. And as you remember, the components are the project, bits of operation work, subsidiary projects and programs and other portfolios. So a whole mix. But the component could be any one of those. Components are prioritized so that those contributing the most to the organization's strategic objectives have the required financial, team and physical resources. And that reminds me of actually managing a project where you have some activities on the critical path, and if any one of those activities is held up, then it's going to slow the entire project. It's going to hold the entire project up. And so what you start to do is you identify those particular critical activities, and then you start putting more time, more people, more resources into them. And so now we're taking that up to the portfolio level. Instead of looking at individual activities, you're looking at maybe programs, other portfolios, pieces of work, subsidiary projects rather, and then seeing which ones are contributing the greatest, or alternatively, which ones are holding the company back the most, and you can start putting a lot more resources into those. For example, an infrastructure organization that has a strategic objective of maximizing returns on investments may put together a portfolio that includes a mix of projects in oil and gas, power, water, roads, rail and airports. From this mix, the organization may choose to manage related projects as one portfolio. All of the power projects may be grouped under a power portfolio. Similarly, all the water projects grouped under the water portfolio. However, when the organization has projects in designing and constructing a power plant and then operates the power plant to generate energy, these related projects can be grouped in one program. The power program and similar water program become integral components of the portfolio of the infrastructure organization. 4. Operations management. You will find this on page 16 of the PMBOK guide. And this is an area that is really outside the scope of formal project management as described in the PMBOK guide. Operations management is concerned with the ongoing production of goods and or service. It's the business as usual. It ensures that business operations continue efficiently by using the optimal resources needed to meet customer demands. It's concerned with managing processes that transform inputs, for example, materials, components, energy and labour, into outputs, e.g. products, goods and or services. Number 5, operations and project management. Changes in business or organisational operations may be the focus of a project, specifically when there are substantial changes to business operations as a result of a new product or service delivery. Ongoing operations are outside of the scope of a project. However, there are intersecting points where the two areas cross. Projects can intersect with operations at various points during the product life cycle, such as when developing a new product, upgrading a product or expanding outputs, when improving operations or the product development process, or at the end of the project life cycle and at each closeout phase. At each point, deliverables and knowledge are transferred between the project and operations for implementation of the delivered work. This implementation occurs through a transfer of project resources or knowledge to operations, or through a transfer of operational resources to the project. For example, when I'm managing an information technology project and we create a software package, at one stage we will hand over various deliverables to the operations team, and so they can get them up and running, and by the end of the project we'll have handed over all of those products. Operations will be using them, and we will provide a manual and instructions and perhaps training to enable the support team to be able to maintain those operations in use. And that brings us to the end of relationship of project, program, portfolio and operations management. The next lesson is components of the PMBOK guide. Please read the corresponding chapter in the PMBOK guide before watching the video.